This video is going to take you through the steps for how to create a layout with text in PowerPoint Online. Now, in your PowerPoint presentation, you should have one slide like this with just the background. This slide can be used to collage your imagery on top of and add your own hand lettering to, or you might have a combination of imagery and digital text, which we'll look at today. So you could copy everything from this slide into a new blank slide, or there's a bit of a shortcut where you can just duplicate the slide. So if I go back to this blank slide with just the background, I'm going to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard and select Duplicate Slide. Okay, so now I have a version of my background slide that I can start to add text to. So I'm going to think about my title first, and I want to go to Insert and Text Box. And here I'm just going to type in the first line of my title. So my title is World of Insects, and I'm just going to type in World first. And this is going to allow me to rearrange the different lines of text and play with formatting a little bit and think about my layout. So here I'm making it a bit larger. I'll go big here. Stretch out the text box and position it roughly where I want my lettering to go based on my final layout design. So my text is going to be split between 3 lines and in the center of my page based on my layout design, my final layout design. So here you can start to think about what words do you want to be all caps or all lowercase letters or a combination of both. You should also think about scale, and again, this is going back to your final layout design. What did you decide upon with your lettering? So in my layout design, I've left the word of quite small, and the word insects will be large and all capital letters. Okay, and now I'm starting to arrange the different lines of my text, of my lettering, based on my layout design. Mine should be in the center, and you can see a red line, a red guideline popping up when I have one of these text box in the center there. And I'm just going to show you because sometimes there's a presetting that makes your objects jump about. So if that's happening to you and it's not staying where you've put it, you can go to Arrange and Align, and then tick that box that says Align to Slide. So if that's happening to you, that could be a fix for preventing them from jumping about. And if you don't know where the Arrange button is, or you can't see that, you can also type it in the search box, type Arrange. But again, that's Arrange, Align, and tick Align to Slide. Only if your text or your objects are jumping about on you. Okay, so I'm going to center all of my text again. Now it's not working here because the text box is quite large, so I'm just bringing it in closer to the word, and now I have a better idea of when the word of is centered. All right, now we can start to think about using different font. So look at your lettering, think about your theme, what type of font relates to your theme the most, what type of font most closely matches your lettering that you worked on in your development. So you might have something quite fanciful and flowy, or you could have a very bold text, or a very sort of classical looking text. So I'm going to use a combination of this sort of more fanciful text, and then I'm going to look for something a bit more classical, since this is a non-fiction book that I'm working on. And to find the font options, if it's not immediately obvious on your toolbar, you may just need to hit that Home tab, and then it should appear. So I have my list of fonts, and I can change and adjust the font size from there. And although the text in my layout design, my final layout design is quite centered and straight, you might have it coming in at an angle. So you can also adjust, if you see just at the top, there's a circular toggle that you can pull to rotate your text and angle it where you would like it. Okay, so now I am going to continue to select my text and font sizes for the rest of the words in my title, the rest of the lines. And consider using two different fonts. You don't need to use one font throughout. And continue to adjust the layout of your lettering until it matches or is very similar to your final layout design. So I'm happy with this, but I would like my text to stand out from the background a little bit more. And since PowerPoint Online doesn't have a shadow text function, I'm going to show you how to create your own shadow. So if you select a word, copy and paste it, then you can choose what color you would like the shadow to be. So since this is quite dark text, I'm going to go with a light shadow to contrast with it and help it stand out from the background. So here I have recent colors that I've used, and I've made these colors already so they appear down below. You can choose one of the preset colors or choose more color options. And you can click anywhere in this box, adjust the bar down below to get a more red or green or yellow hue. Here I'm just going to choose my recent color. So I'm thinking about my theme as well. What four colors did I choose? I'm pulling a color that is in my background into the text as well to create some unity in my design. So this is going to be my shadow, and now I need to send it backwards. So if you remember before how we sent things to the back, you need to find arrange and then not send it all the way to the back because then it would be behind the background, but we're going to select arrange, send backward. And it might take a few times because we have different layers sitting on top. So you could also go to the shape tab, select arrange, send backward, arrange, send backward. There it is. Now it's sitting behind my text, and I can move it around, maybe just below it, maybe a bit to the right. Zoom in here so you can see. You can use your arrow keys to get a more precise control over where you're positioning your shadow. All right, now we have a bit of contrast. It's standing out from the background a little bit more, so I'm going to repeat this step for the rest of my lines of text. So I'm copying and pasting the word of here. Choosing the font color, and if you need to find that again, you click the Home tab, and there you have your font color option. So I've changed the color, I'm sending it to the back behind my text to create a sort of light shadow. It's more of a highlight. So I'll repeat it one last time for my last word here. Copy and paste the text. Change the font color. Can choose my recent colors. And if you prefer, this actually looks quite nice with the light on top of the dark, so that could be an option as well. So if anything like that happens that you're happy with, you can go with those sort of adjustments as well. But for now, I'm going to keep my lettering consistent and I'm going to send it to the back of my text again. So arrange, click the Shape tab, arrange, and send backward. And next I need to add my author's name. So again, I'm basing this on my final layout design and where I placed the author's name in my final layout design. So you can go to the Insert tab, choose Text Box, type in your author's name and position it. Okay, and now I just need to choose the font I'm going to use for the author's name. I can look around and see if I want to make it bold or italicize it. I'm going to keep it bold and use one of my preset colors that I've used already. And after choosing the color for my author's name, I'm thinking that the title looks a bit too harsh with the black. So I'm going to go back and change it to maybe a darker green blue, so similar to some of the colors that are in my theme and in my book cover. So this is making it just look a little bit softer and again just adding a bit more unity to my design. Next, I want to add my title to the spine of my book. So I'm going to go to Insert once again, Insert, Text Box. I'm going to type in my title, and this time I'm going to type it in on just one line, although I'm going to use all caps for the first word and for the last word, and I'm keeping the word of in lowercase letters. So I can go back to home, and this is where I will find my fonts and font sizes. So I'm going to use one of my recently used fonts that appears in my title. And I'm going to make it larger. And I just need to stretch out this text box so it's all on one line. But I'll go ahead and change the color. And I've made this the lighter yellow that I've used for the author's name and that appears in my book cover because it's going onto a much darker background. So the spine of my book is much darker. So in order to allow my title to stand out, I am using a much lighter font color. And use your guidelines again, that red line that appears to help you center your book spine, the text on your book spine. I'm just going to change the font of this little word of in the middle to this other font that appears in my title there. So don't be afraid to mix and match and use two different fonts. I'll make it a little bit smaller too. Okay, so I like the way that looks. I think I'm going to use this technique again of creating a slight shadow behind the text just so it stands out from the background a little bit more. So I'm going to copy and paste my text, change the font color to this dark blue, and I need to send it to back. So Shape tab, choose Arrange, and Send Backward. Okay, and I'm just going to adjust it again like I did before, position it so it just creates a slight shadow behind my letters. I'll zoom in a little bit closer again. Finally, I'm going to add some finishing touches. So you can explore shapes. If you go to Insert and Shape, you can create a rectangular border around your text or add a line underneath some of the words in your text, which I'm going to do just now. So to make the words world and insects just stand out a little bit more, I'm going to add a line underneath. So I've changed the color to that light yellow preset color that I've been using. I'm making the line a little bit thicker, and now I can position it underneath some of my words using my guidelines, making sure it's nice and horizontal. And I can also change not just the weight of my line, but I can change it from a solid line to either a dashed line or a dotted line. So I've changed this to small little dots. And I'm just going to copy and paste and use this again for the last line in my text. And you don't have to complete this step, but if you were using some kind of line or border in your final layout design, this is how you can add them in PowerPoint Online by going to Insert and then Shapes. And there is my layout with my background and my text.